Good afternoon and welcome to our annual general meeting here at North Staffs Combined Healthcare, and a welcome to people who are joining us online as well. We're sorry to say that we don't have our chair with us today, David. He's unfortunately elsewhere, but you will be hearing from him later in the review of the year. So no further ado, we'll get straight down to business and start with our review.
Hello, I'm Bukia Adiemo, and I'm the Chief Executive at North Staffs Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. And I'm delighted to be joined in this presentation by our Chair, David Rogers.
Hi there, my name is David Rogers and I'm the Chair at North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. It's both my pleasure and my privilege to welcome you to our review of the year 2022-23 and to launch our new annual report and accounts and our quality account. It is my immense pleasure to confirm that it's been another truly outstanding year for Combined and for its people. Our new annual report provides the Trust's latest testament of the quite remarkable journey whose destination we used to call towards outstanding, and which for the past 4 years we have called towards being outstanding in all we do and how we do it. It stands once again as both a public record and as a tribute to our staff and our partners, our volunteers, and all those who've displayed, sometimes in the most challenging of times, the very best that the NHS and our local communities can be.
It is now over 4 years since the Care Quality Commission awarded the Trust as an overall outstanding rating, the highest overall rating they can award. The news confirmed Combined Healthcare as one of only 2 specialist mental health trusts in England with an overall outstanding rating. At that time, we said we were far from complacent and our journey of improvement would continue. Our focus and aim was and remains to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it, including continuing to strengthen integration with our partners and engagement with staff, service users, their families and communities. We were proud at that time to be singled out by the Care Quality Commission as an example for others to learn from in how to sustain improvements in high quality care and performance after receiving an outstanding rating. The new annual report demonstrates how that relentless pursuit of continued, sustained improvement and innovation burns as brightly as ever at Combined.
This includes unveiling our new 5-year trust strategy, the future of North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust 2023 to 28. This was developed after many months of work and engagement with our staff, our service users, external stakeholders, to deliver a strategy which addresses the needs of our diverse local population, whilst remaining true to our trust values. Of course, the bedrock of our success is our commitment to delivering outstanding services that live up to our promise of being safe, personalised, accessible and recovery focused. We set out in detail how those services are organised, delivered and continue to achieve against that pledge.
We are particularly delighted and proud that in this latest year covered by this annual report, North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare won the prestigious award of NHS Trust of the Year at the National Health Service Journal Awards. This was the first time a mental health trust won this accolade. I have to say, it's not just a delight for Combined, it's an absolute joy for all mental health NHS trusts that a mental health trust is flying the flag for us all. Our delight was compounded by our memory clinic also being recognised as the Psychiatric Team of the Year, Older Age Adults at the Royal College of Psychiatrists Awards 2022. We place on the record our pride at delivering an unprecedented 24th consecutive year of achieving financial surplus, making us one of the strongest financial performers in our region. This performance enables us to provide examples of our determination to deliver historic capital investment in the medium-term future. This includes eradicating dormitory accommodation and shared bathroom facilities as part of a major capital upgrade at Harplands Hospital, as well as introducing new services such as our new dynamic support register for children and adults with a learning disability, and newly commissioned services such as our intensive support team linked to the Darwin Centre.
Partnerships are something we hold dear and something we do well. We are proud to have worked, for example, with local government colleagues, the voluntary sector, and organisations such as Port Vale Football Club and Stoke City Football Club to introduce community lounges and family hubs to support our local populations directly in the communities they call home. We've continued to develop and advance the NHS vision for integrated care and new models of delivery towards a strong Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent in their integrated care system. We were delighted that our finance team, alongside our system colleagues, received recognition for their excellence by winning the 2022 HFMA Finance Team of the Year Award. We're also proud to continue our nationally leading innovation in communications and engagement through the success of our very own digital television station, Combined Television CTV, from which we are presenting this review. As well as introducing a new digital production studio in our Lawton House headquarters, providing immersive training and state-of-the-art digital production facilities. 2022-23 was a year when we were delighted to welcome and showcase our outstanding services to a host of national leaders, including NHS England's Chief Executive Amanda Pritchard, the Chief Executive of NHS Providers and the NHS Confederation, Sir Julian Hartley and Matthew Taylor, and the Shadow Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Wes Streeting.
On a personal note, I was proud to be elected to the board of the NHS Confederation's Mental Health Network. One thing we keep constantly in mind is that strategies, plans and aims are nothing without brilliant, talented, determined and compassionate people to make them a reality. If there is one major theme that has run throughout everything we have done this year, it has been our unwavering commitment to protecting and promoting the health and well-being of everyone for whom we have responsibility, staff and service users. In this regard, one of the most welcome things we saw this year was the results of the NHS staff survey, which showed us yet again to have maintained our proud record of nationally leading results, including this year being the highest scoring trust in our cohort in 4 out of 7 of the NHS People Promise themes.
Really has been another remarkable year for North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. If you wish to read our annual report or our annual quality account, which we are also publishing today, you can download them for free from our public website. In the meantime, we've also produced this short film to show you more.
Hello, my name's Kenny Lang. I'm the Trust Chief Nursing Officer, and I'm going to take 5 minutes just to talk to you about the quality account, which today is officially published alongside our annual accounts and annual report. So the quality account is something that we do every year. It's an incredibly important opportunity for us to share the incredible work that happens in the organisation in terms of quality. Firstly, in terms of our performance around quality, but secondly, and really importantly, how we improve our quality and how we're never really satisfied with where we are in terms of quality. Even when our performance is good, we continuously look to improve and innovate. So we look back on the performance, as I've already mentioned, in terms of how we've done in 22-23. I'll talk a little bit about that shortly. But we always focus on being outstanding in all that we do and how we do it. So firstly, just for a couple of minutes, I just want to talk about our quality priorities. People will be familiar with these, but it's always helpful to repeat. So we have got our 4 quality priorities. Firstly, our services will consistently be safe, because without safety we can't deliver quality. And we've always striving to make sure that we innovate in this area and are incredibly attentive to it. The second is that we will be personalised, so that all of our care will be personalised to the individual needs of everyone that uses our services. Thirdly, that our processes and structures will guarantee access. So in mental health, traditionally and historically, it has always been quite challenging for the general public and users to navigate the systems in terms of mental health. Historically, it was always a bit of a mystery. Lots of services were perceived to be built behind closed doors and walls, and we are absolutely striving to make sure that access is easy and simple, and that people don't find it difficult to get support with their mental health needs. And then our final priority in terms of quality is to make sure that we focus on the recovery needs of people who use mental health and learning disability services. Incredibly important. So there are 4 priorities, and we really emphasise on these in terms of reviewing how we're doing in our quality. So in terms of an overview, I just wanted to talk about how we look at quality. So we manage our performance very closely, and that does include a number of quality metrics. And these are some of the things that we were very proud of from last year. You'll see these and recognise these metrics from other areas of the NHS. So how quickly we follow people up following discharge from our hospital services is incredibly important. And we followed 100% of people at year end up within 7 days. And actually we followed up 98.5% of people within 48 hours. Now in mental health, that's incredibly important. It's nationally recognised that the period following discharge can be risky, and we make sure that we monitor that very, very closely. The other two key areas that I wanted to highlight is our performance last year around referral to assessment within 4 weeks, so that when people are referred into our services, we're making sure we're seeing them in a timely way and making sure that people aren't waiting before having a mental health assessment. And we achieve that in 97.1% of our referrals. And in terms of our treatment, so people actually getting treatment, again, at the year end last year, we managed to achieve that in 96.8% of our cases. So really good performance, but again, we're not resting on our laurels. We're making sure that we're absolutely striving to improve that wherever possible. So in terms of some highlights from our quality account, I just wanted to pull those out. In terms of our safe quality priority, we've continued to do fantastic work on our zero suicide ambition. We regularly work with partners in terms of showcasing work in this area. It's highly complex, but we're a real leader in Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent in working towards that ambition. You've seen already from the video you've just watched in terms of our investment into our clinical environments, in mental health and learning disability services, inpatient settings, indeed all settings. It's really important that we keep up to date with the latest innovations in terms of reducing risk and improving safety, and we've done that through our Project Chrysalis programme, and that will continue into next year and the year beyond. And then finally, improved our working practice in terms of safeguarding as well. In terms of personalised, a few highlights from the quality account included opening our Wellbeing College. This is something we've wanted to invest in and really embed in our clinical practice for a number of years now, and that has really got off the ground in the last year in 22-23, open to both staff, service users and families, to learn together about well-being and mental health, and that really has a fantastic impact on people both coming into our services and also transitioning back out of our services, and there's a fantastic opportunity for people to learn together in a very co-produced way. The other thing I wanted to just pick out was the work that started last year and again is continuing into this year in terms of the replacement of the care programme approach and really focusing on much improved care planning processes, which is a fantastic innovation. In terms of access, some of the highlights I wanted to pick out was the launch of our all-age wellbeing portal, which again really supports people to be able to access mental health and learning disability services online in a much more straightforward way than may historically have been the case. And also you saw in the video around our expansion of our mental health workers in primary care networks, again, which is really focusing on people being able to access mental health services very quickly from their GP and not having to come into specialist services, but see practitioners where they live in the surgery that they access routinely. And then finally, on recovery, a really important approach. We've done a huge amount of work looking at embedding the expertise of people with lived experience in the organisation, working alongside our clinical teams to offer that peer support to people who are experiencing mental health difficulties. And co-production was a really important aspect of the things that we're trying to do in the organisation, which is use that expertise of people with lived experience to improve the service provision, improve some of our internal governance, and generally have more of a influence for people who have been through mental health difficulties in how we design and run our services, which is an incredibly important aspect of what we do. So that brings me on to the video, which is fantastic and describes some of that work around helping people with lived experience influence how we deliver care in a combined healthcare.
My manager has always said, if you live with mental distress, you've got superpowers. And at first I didn't think that. I didn't think that what I had was a good thing, but I believe that it does give you superpowers now. Because, well, she messaged me one day and said there's a job and I'd like you to apply for it. And at the time I didn't feel like I was ready, it's still in recovery. But I applied and I've never been so nervous in my entire life because it actually meant something to me. So I applied for the job and to my surprise I got the job. I didn't really know what I'd applied for at the time. It was for a peer recovery coach. I didn't know what the job would entail, but I thought I'm just going to go for it. And since then, I've come on leaps and bounds with my mental health, but it's a job I enjoy that I know I can hold down.
We work out things together, just work it out, and it's just brilliant. I just really enjoy it. I think we both benefit from it. It's not like a one-way thing where I'm just helping one person. They help me as much as I help them. It's brilliant. brilliant. It's brilliant.
It's just like rewarding knowing that I'm in this role and helping other people as well, like some that are of like a similar age to me or a lot older than me, and it makes me realise that it doesn't matter what age you are, that anyone can suffer with mental health.
I've got a real purpose now, because which is, you know, every day, week in, week out. I've got that community, that support. I've also got a status of a sort of regular job, which I feel really helps me, you know. And I feel much more confident because I'm interacting with people every day.
And there are like some days as well where like I have to pinch myself and I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting ready for work, kind of thing, and I have to remind myself that I'm doing it for a reason, because like me a couple of years ago never saw a purpose or like reached out for anything if I wanted to like have that, but now it's like I've got a purpose and I'm helping others as well as myself along the way. But I think it's just nice to know that you've made that difference, and I think all it takes is just that little conversation with that person. And when I have come across service users that are in distress, I always do reassure them before, like, you don't have to tell me what is going on, but I'm here for you.
So I think something we can maybe look into, which with the peer support role is already happening, we need to maybe liaise a bit more with the community and the services that are out there, not just because I've got my own charity experience, but because I would have found really helpful to liaise with groups that were really aware of what the service does, and so maybe we could look at organising meetings and liaising more with the community, not necessarily with NHS-led support services, but community services. That would be really helpful. I know that the trust are working hard already to liaise with charities, but there's definitely a lot more that can be done. And I think that's where the peer support workers, not just myself, I know that there's more vacancies out there, and actually they've hired a peer support worker recently for maternity. I think that's where the peer support can really come in.
Being a peer recovery coach is, I love it. I work with so many different service users, they've all got different needs, they're all in different stages of the recovery. I feel like I benefit them. I wish I had a recovery coach, because I think what you need when you're in that dark place is to feel validated, to not feel it's isolating, you're pushing people away, but to know you've got that person that you can turn to, that you can call if you need to, that if you're struggling with certain aspects of your life, they've got your back every single step, and I think it's invaluable. They just understand because they've been there, and it's really difficult because as much as your family and your friends might love you, it doesn't mean that they understand what you're going through. And when you are going through it, it's a very difficult thing to explain, but they don't need to explain. And I think that's what's nice, that you just get them.
I remember thinking, not just because I would have loved to get the job because I want to be a peer support worker, but in this trust, I wanted to be one. I am very, very, very proud to be part of it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Eric Gardiner. I'm the Chief Finance Officer and Deputy Chief Exec. At Combined, we've always been proud of the stewardship of our resources. I'm delighted that last year saw us delivering our 24th consecutive year of financial balance, although it is becoming tougher. Our continued outstanding financial performance enables us to invest in patient services for the future. As an NHS trust, we have a statutory duty to break even, and that means staying within our budget and not make a financial loss. In line with previous years, the trust has agreed to a fixed funding mechanism with our integrated care partners. To achieve our element of the system envelope, we are required to deliver a trading surplus of at least break even, and I'm delighted to report that we overachieved our target and delivered a surplus of £380,000. We also met our cash and capital targets, although we did fail the Better Payment Practice Code. This next slide just really highlights our performance compared to last year, where last year we delivered a higher surplus, but that was due to receiving income at the very year end that we couldn't spend anything with. But it does show the growth in the organisation, where our income has considerably increased from last year compared to this. So what did we spend our money on? We spent £163.7 million. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We received income of £163.7 million last year, and most of that comes from the NHS and is spent on providing healthcare to our patients and service users. So what did we spend that on? We spent £163.5 million. Nearly 60% of that goes on our staff and paying wages, and another large chunk of it is spent on purchase of healthcare outside of the NHS. We also spend money on capital. So each year we invest some of our money on what is referred to as capital. This is longer term spend for assets with an economic life of over a year. This would usually include expenditure on new buildings, improving our existing buildings, or buying equipment and updating our IT infrastructure. During the year, we spent £6.6 million on capital, and this money was spent on enhancing our network and digital capability, and we also conducted important maintenance on buildings and premises and invested in reducing the risk of ligature. As has already been mentioned, we've invested in the Heartlands Hospital as part of our long-term project of eradicating dormitories. In excess of £15 million will be invested in this project over the next 3 years, with a scheme due to be completed in 2025. During the year, the Trust spent £5.5 million on this project. As with all NHS trusts, we have a limited budget, and we need to make sure that every pound we spend is spent wisely. All NHS trusts must deliver efficiency, and our Chief Medical Officer and Chief Nursing Officer make sure that we don't impact on quality and safety through independent quality impact assessments whenever we try and achieve some CIP. As I mentioned earlier, we didn't achieve the Better Payment Practice Code, which states that we have to pay invoices both in terms of volume and value within 30 days. So we achieved 92% and 93% respectively. So still a good performance, but we didn't quite achieve the target. The Trust did remain, though, within the external financing limit and capital resource limits. The external financing limit is a limit on the amount of cash that the Trust can spend on activities during the year, and the capital resource limit is the amount that we can spend on capital projects within the year, and both of these we achieved. Finally, a little bit looking forwards to this year and beyond. It is getting harder. We have a difficult financial backdrop in 23-24, and it's not going to get any easier. We have risks around high inflation, particularly around the PFI contract, and there also is continued industrial action, as people are aware of, across the NHS. However, we are really well placed to deliver these and manage within these challenges going forwards. So it's a compliment to everyone who works in the organisation that we manage to strive for this success year in, year out. So that just leaves me to say thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much for those presentations, and I hope people enjoyed them online. Apologies if there were some sound problems with the early part of the presentation. I hope that didn't detract too much from understanding what was going on, and you were able to follow on the subtitles. So it's great, isn't it, to hear that we've delivered great services in an innovative and compassionate way during the year, and we still stayed within our financial remit. So thank you very much. I'll echo Eric's thanks to the staff and to the leadership of the Trust for all of the effort they put into that during the course of the year. We now have time to take questions from members of the public. So if there are any questions, please go ahead. So we've got one in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Ian Syme. I have several questions, Chair, if that's okay. I attend your ICBs and also monitor the board papers. I also look at your board papers regularly. I think obviously you've been congratulated, 24 years, financial balance is amazing in any care sector, frankly. But what the ICB mentioned in their AGM yesterday is 23-24 is difficult, 24-25 will be extremely difficult. And obviously this will have impact on all forms of service delivery. Now, there are three areas that I'd like to cover, please. How do you ensure your staff are supported and morale is maintained with the increasing demand on their input? That's the first question. The second question is capacity. You mentioned the chrysalis thing, etc. But I understand from ICB reports that over 140 women had to go out of area, that's out of Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, for mental health services, basically acute mental health services, because of the lack of capacity for female beds. How is that being addressed for the future? And also, how are psychiatric intensive care unit beds being addressed? Because we know there is an extreme shortage of those throughout the West Midlands. And finally, I understand 117 aftercare has been looked at now and reviewed by the ICB. What is your input going to be in that review? Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Can I go for the first question around staff welfare to Paul, please?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. Thanks, Ian. I mean, it's a really great question, and you're absolutely right. You know, our services are our people. We're nothing without our people, and I think as a board we're absolutely conscious of the need to support those people, and I think part of the success of Combined over the years, the many years, you know, it's not just been the financial success, but it's been about our people, and you see that in, again, you know, a great staff survey result, you know, following on last year's great staff survey results. So I think it is building on that strength that we go into a challenging time as we went through with COVID, a really challenging time. Part of it is great leadership. I think we've got, you know, great leaders across the organisation. Not to say we can't do better. I think we can always improve. There's always room for improvement. But we've got some great leaders across the organisation that are bought into the values, that live the values, that look to make sure that we've got, you know, we try to be outstanding in all we do, and all the things, and the way that we do it is really important to that as well. I think, you know, being clear with people, giving people clarity, giving people, I suppose, the opportunities to use their voices to be able to influence how work impacts them. You know, and you've heard from the videos today, you know, around our coaches and peer support and how that works. Well, we need to, you know, that's replicated across other areas as well. And again, we can do better. We know that, you know, although our staff survey is one of the top in the country, there's still room for improvement. And we, you know, as a board and as a senior leadership and as an organisation, we want to continue to keep doing that. So we did a lot of engagement, and we've relaunched, refreshed our people plan this year. So we spoke to nearly 300 staff during the course of February and March, just to hear what was important to them, and we reflected that in our new people plan. That's now being enacted. It came through our senior leadership team and through our people committee and to the board in July, and so that's, you know, our next phase of development in terms of what we're going to try and do with staff, and at the heart of that is about being inclusive, about listening to our staff, about empowering our staff, about making sure that they, you know, that they are central to what they do, that we're flexible in the way that we allow them to work, that we understand that, you know, life is more than just work for people. You know, we have to build all that into the way that we work with people, and and to enable them to make the improvements that they want to make. As you say, you know, you're absolutely right. It's incredibly challenging. You know, Eric talked about the challenges that we have financially. That's absolutely true. And we're not, you know, we're fully aware. We're not surprised by that. That's been coming for a little while. And nor are our staff. We're being very honest with our staff, and we're trying to get them into the right place. And I think, you know, it's all of our responsibility, and I'm very proud of the way that the board takes responsibility for ensuring that we, you know, not just do but act in the right way to make sure that our staff are listened to, that they're empowered, and that we make the changes that build around them. Because as we said, where we started from, you know, our staff are our organisation. Our services are nothing without them.
Thanks very much, Paul. Is that okay, Ian, on that one point?
The only follow-up I would have there are staff, if they've got issues, they can escalate those issues. It's freedom to speak up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your whistleblower policy, and that happens without fear or favour.
Absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. And we have I think again, look at our staff survey, you know, we're one of the better responses in terms of people feeling they're able to speak up. But again, we've still got room for improvement. We've got a really great freedom to speak up guardian who's got access and visibility to the board, and Janet as chair of our people committee knows that, you know, and is our non-executive freedom to speak up lead as well. And you're right, you know, it's vital that people have that vehicle to raise concerns through the guardian, through the trade union representative, through their leaders, through anyone. But those things need to be escalated, and we need to be acting on them and reacting. And I have to say, coming back to the organisation, I think we do a really great job in that. But again, we've got more that we can do, and we recognise that we've got more that we can do. We're not being complacent around it.
Thank you very much. So we had 3 other questions, 1 on finance and 2 on capacity. If my memory serves me well, you're testing me on a Friday afternoon.
You're going to be 24, 25.
Okay.
You know there's a storm coming.
So we'll go to Eric on finances for next year, and that'll give Kenny time to think about the other 2 points around capacity, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ian, for the question. All things being equal, our long-term plan looks robust.
Right.
That's not to say that there are not challenges, and as we are moving to more of an integrated care system, and we have, as you said, the ICB, it's all about how the system performs rather than individual organisations. I think as an organisation we've traditionally done very well, and we've punched above our weight in terms of contributing to that system. That's one of the reasons why we took on Project 86 and TCP a couple of years ago, and we have continued to do well with those schemes and reduce the average cost year on year. But you're right, it's not without its challenges, and I think until we see the real planning guidance for next year and what's expected, because we all are very aware that this is the last formal year of the MIS, the Mental Health Investment Standard. Although we do expect that to continue, it hasn't been formalised as yet. We're holding our fingers crossed as well. So I think we're as well placed as we possibly can be, but there will be risks and challenges along the way. But we have done better than expected this year so far.
Okay, thanks very much. So you can relax, Kenny. After I nearly dropped you in it then, I think the other 2 questions are going to Liz Mellor, who's our Chief Strategy Officer.
Yeah, I will answer, but Kenny might want to add as well. So I'll take both questions about female beds and intensive care beds, and also Section 117 arrangements, if that's okay. Yeah. So and I'll try not to talk for too long because there's lots I could say about this. And you know, our primary sort of motivator is keeping people out of hospital. So that's the first thing that's important to say. And unless people absolutely need to go into hospital, we want them to be kept as well as they can in the environments in which they live. And that's the same, you know, if they need to go into hospital and have that stay and that, you know, treatment, that they come out as quickly as we can enable. So as part of the long-term plan, we've invested significantly in community mental health services, into the voluntary community and social enterprise sector, and to ensure that we've got those wraparound services to keep people well at home. But you know, the demand and capacity piece about sort of beds and availability, and the need for out of area is diverse across the region and locally, and we're proud that our out of area numbers are incredibly low and we manage that demand and capacity really well, but that's not the same, so we take responsibility for this at a regional level. And next year we're reviewing particularly intensive care beds across the West Midlands and female acute beds, and we'll be part of that arrangement. I suppose in line with eagerly anticipating the next phase of the long-term plan, that's due, and we're finishing off sort of the current long-term plan, so we will sort of act upon that guidance and see where, but we want to take a sort of leadership role in some of that activity at a West Midlands level. And then just thinking sort of in our integrated care system, very aware of the review of the 117 arrangements, and we are signed up and part of those new arrangements and what the outcomes of those will be. So actively participating in those arrangements and the reviews that are happening at a local level.
Okay, Ian?
117 now, please.
Sorry, that was the same. So as far as 117 arrangements, yes, the Staffordshire arrangement's been reviewed and we were part of that, and there's a new process, and the Stoke-on-Trent arrangement will be reviewed this year, and again we're part of that because sort of discharge planning is something that we've invested in, and as an organisation we, as I said, we want people to come out of hospital, and when they come out they are secure and enabled to recover in their long-term journey as much as they can, which is what that aftercare is about and should enable.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your questions. There are no questions from people watching online, but it's an opportunity for anybody online, if they want to ask a question, please put your hand up. Nothing, I think, at the moment. And how about anybody in the room? Anybody who'd like to raise a point or ask a question in the room? No? Well, I think it just remains for me to thank everybody for attending, thank the team for putting the presentations together, and to wish you all a very pleasant rest of the day. Thank you very much.